Welcome to Costa del Sol Chatter. I have a new guest with me today. His name is Arturo Lopez. He's a lawyer and what we would call a barrister here in Spain. He's based in Fuengirola. Welcome, Arturo.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you on today. We've got so many questions. The British Irish. We have so many questions about what it's like to move to Spain. I would have loved to have had this video when I first came out. So let me just kick off with, what exactly do you need to put in place if you've got this wonderful dream wherever you are in Europe or in Britain or Ireland that you want to move to Spain? All you can think about is all the sunshine and the sea and what a fantastic time you're going to have. But in reality, you've got to be practical and plan for your move. And let's ask you, what exactly do you need to do and what comes afterwards?
Well, I understand that, first of all, there are many people who comes here for different reasons. It's not the same a pensionist, like a teleworker, or a person who intends to open a business here or pretends to work as an employee. So every case is different. Most of the people who comes here, they just enjoy renting a property. They don't need to make a big expense of that. It's true that most of the retired people, they come with another idea. Their idea is to really live here permanently for the rest of their lives. They want the security, they used to have some savings, and they want to buy a property. And the good news is that buying a property in Spain is extremely secure, because we have a register of properties. Is a public and national service, and it has all the properties in Spain, all the real estate assets, lands, apartments, houses, détachés, condos, everything is included there. So the first thing to do, very cheap, is to inquire about the property you intend to buy. I say very cheap because I think that now is running about €9, the certificate. The certificate gives you the full information. So if, for instance, if there is an embargo over the property, it appears there. If it doesn't appear, there isn't any embargo, even if it's done.
Yeah, but what happens there's been a lot of news media stories about when you're buying a property and then suddenly they build something in front of you. Or
well,
there's a lot of media about that. So explain.
But I tell you, but this is a very specific case. When instead of buying an apartment, you buy a piece of land, yes, of course, you have the risk that someone is going to buy the land close to you and it has a bigger permission than yours and he's going to intend to build a building. Well, that's inevitable. That's absolutely inevitable. The only thing we can do in those cases is to have a look on the town hall urban plan, right. And they explain what are the kind of new constructions or building the town hall allows. For instance, residential areas. Residential areas usually are something as underground and 2 floors. So you know positively that in an urbanization, no one is going to build a 5 floors building. But for instance, if you have a nice view on the sea, and in front of you there is another land still not built.
Yeah. So I suppose that gives you a reason to have a lawyer, really. I mean, so that they check absolutely everything. But do carry on with the process of actually buying.
Of course, well, the process is very simple. I must say, first of all, that the Spaniards don't used to engage a lawyer for doing that because they know they can go to the town hall and check the plan. They know they can go to the register and have a nota simple. They know they can apply for a mortgage in a Spanish bank, and the notary, and this is the second piece, very important in the system. In Spain, the notary has full powers, and nothing can be done without him, without his knowledge. If he says the day of the notary that I had a new certification from the register and there's still nothing is there. If he warns you about some possible debts, he warns about the debts, and the certificate must be joined to the deed as well. So the register, the town hall, and the deed give you a full security on the system. So usually how it works, people used to have a look on the web, then they get in touch with some agents, then they have a look on properties. Usually the agents used to ask you for a reservation fee of some 5 or 6,000 depending the property. Of course, a villa of 2 million. If I was the seller, I wouldn't accept 5,000 as a reservation fee. I would ask for 50,000.
Yeah.
But once it's done, then it comes the process where the lawyers, both lawyers, the sellers and the purchasers, get in touch. We prepare a contract, a private contract, in which more money can be paid, and we go straight to the notary. No reason to delay it. The usual reasons to delay the term between the reservation and the fulfilling at the notary is just because they need finances. So they need perhaps 1 month or 1 month and a half to get a mortgage over the property. But if the money is, for instance, in UK, and they open a Spanish bank account immediately, the lawyer will start asking for the foreign number, the NIE. And after that, there's no reason for not going to the notary immediately, because we check the debts, we check the taxes, and we fulfill the contract.
But you also have to open a Spanish bank account, get an NIE number. There's quite a few little loopholes you have to jump through. It's
Well,
not
this is
as
why
simple as...
most of the foreigners prefers to use a lawyer.
Yeah.
He handles everything, and it's much easier. Realize, for instance, that once they have bought the property comes living in Spain. And living in Spain, well, is no different than any other part of Europe. But there are community rules, for instance. So people doesn't understand that most of the times they belong to a neighborhood where there are rules. And these community rules binds every single owner. It doesn't matter when he votes. Some communities, for instance, are now forbidding the touristical rentals. That is very important. In the last year, I had some withdrawals, especially for that, because many people are coming, not as the case I introduced about a couple who retired, they got their pension and their savings and they come to Spain. No. Many Europeans now are realizing that Airbnb is a very easy way to earn money. So they are investing straight in a property to be rented. Claro, that brings other kind of problems. When you have your own apartments, 1 or 2 or even 3 apartments around you, you manage your rentals. But when you are living in Stockholm and you intend to use the Airbnb to rent at distance with no one checking the apartment, no one cleaning, no one fixing the problem the tenants could bring to the community, then very usually in the next meeting of the community, they receive a lot of bad faces staring at them. Claro. So you are the owner of the 3B. Okay. You know what? In the last year, 5 times the police came because your drunk tenants were doing a party in the apartment at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you weren't there. So people must understand that renting apartments has some duties, and doing it at distance without a management company running it, or an agent taking care of the property, or even yourself taking care of the property, of the tenants, of the repairs. If you do it by your own.
But I mean, you recently had a case where the owners were actually living abroad and they found that people were squatting, and unfortunately they didn't have a power of attorney, and I think it made you and the people that you helped realise how important it is to give somebody a power of attorney when you do live abroad.
And this is another kind of people. They are not anymore retired people who comes to stay here forever. They are not anymore people, pure investors that wants to rent the property. We are just talking about, for instance, the British citizens since the Brexit. They cannot stay here forever. Now there is a visa and they need to come here for a certain limited time. So they come here, they pass their holidays and they go back to England, and during possibly 3, 4, 5 months, they don't come back. And what happens? Well, there's a lot of people that they are watching for these properties, only very, very little occupied. So at the moment they realize that the property can be occupied because no one is taking care of it, I insist. I'm talking about people who owns properties and they don't take care of them. I mean, they think they can go back to England and no one is taking care of the property. What happens if someone is in? Well, first of all, no one realizes until they come back from England. So very important to have someone who is taking care. Perhaps in another interview or in another time we met with Bill Anderson. I think we talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I had these problems more and more often.
Yeah.
What happened? Well, I gave the 4 keys to protect your apartment. First of all, have a good relationship with your neighbors. That's very important. We live in a society where nowadays no one knows their neighbors. They don't say even hello. Well, if someone happens to your apartment and your neighbor knows you, he immediately phones you.
Yeah.
Hey, there is someone getting in. Are your friends? No. So call the police. So the first thing is to be in touch with your neighbors and to have a solidarity in protecting the community. The second is to have given powers of attorney to someone, not necessarily a lawyer. It could be even that neighbor,
trusted
a
friend
trusted
or
friend,
neighbor.
person. Why? Because if you want to get the assistance of the police and you're not the owner, they are not going to take care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you? Well, I'm just the neighbor. I saw people. And how you know they are squatters? How you know they are? Do you have the keys of the apartment? No. So you need to have given powers of attorney to someone.
We're dealing in kind of worst case scenarios there, but once you have got down to the notary and you've bought your dream property and you've made sure with the town hall and the urbanisations nobody's going to build in front of your dream house by the sea, so you've gotten to a stage, what do you have to worry about after you've bought the property as far as taxes and community? What do you have to watch out for?
Spain is a full European country. It's very similar all over Europe. Your lawyer or your manager or even yourself will take care after the purchase to go to the town hall and to address through your bank all the taxes. Then you have the security that all the taxes will be paid automatically. The same with the community fees, the same with the utilities, the same with the alarm system you are going to take, or other services regarding the property. So if you have everything addressed at your bank, you just need to check on your bank that everything is paid, everything is correct. Another thing very important, especially with these retired couples who comes here, is the inheritance.
I was going to ask you about that because now you have assets in another country.
Exactly.
So I would imagine that a lot of viewers who are contemplating moving to the Costa del Sol, this would be a good question for them.
Well, I insist for retired people, they must first of all take care of the other. Why? Because usually it's not the death what happens. What happens is serious illnesses. I'm talking about Alzheimer, about dementia, about sclerosis, all these illnesses, very slow and very incapacitated. This is why I insist on the power of attorney. If both spouses give powers of attorney, full powers one to the other, then the other can help the one who can't. That is the first thing. And the second, many countries in Europe, especially Great Britain, has a system by which the inheritance of the assets that are in Spain can be dealt through a Spanish last will. Many of the viewers surely has heard about this. We, the lawyer, we used to recommend immediately to give a last will, or the both spouses.
Yeah.
Then that let the Spanish lawyer or the Spanish manager or whoever, because I insist, all these things can be done by yourself, but it's true that you need to have some knowledge, and especially you need to speak Spanish. If you don't speak Spanish, you better engage a lawyer. Or you learn Spanish as soon as possible. So, power of attorney between the spouses and a last will, which by the way is not expensive at all. I mean, perhaps a last will at most could be 300 per last will, and including the translator, the notary and the lawyer.
But let me ask you, there's a lot of misinformation surrounding the inheritance laws here. that much like France, there is a certain amount that has to be apportioned to a son or daughter. Is that true? Or is that
Yes.
a complicated thing to answer?
Yes, but with a very important thing. All the states has already agreed in different treaties that some special areas of the law must be done following the law of your nationality.
Okay.
This
All
is
right.
important.
That's what,
This
yeah.
is why doing a last will in Spain is useful. But this is only possible because the British law, many years ago, permitted this option, doing what is called technically a renvoi, which means all the British citizens will be ruled by the national law regarding inheritances, but except the assets in other countries, which will be dealt according to the law of that state.
Okay, that's very interesting. And in fact, that's absolutely my vote for making sure that you, if you do purchase a property here, you must make sure you do a last will and testament. And I do take your point on board, especially about incapacitation and illness. So really, there's a lot of things that you can do for yourself. And I think we've often talked about particularly when clients come to you, you build what you call a roadmap. So
Yes.
rather than overcharge people, you'd rather guide them, and they can do a lot of them the things themselves. If they don't want to, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, you or another lawyer can guide them completely if needed. But to reduce fees, I think that people can be guided properly and do things themselves without spending too much money. And I think we've spoken about the fact that that's really the ethos of how you like to deal with your clients.
Well, if I can make some publicity for myself, if someone have a look on my webpage, this principle is much better explained. I really think, but this is my personal opinion, I'm a 35 years experienced lawyer, so I've seen many things, and I've seen especially many problems that could be had sorted out in the very beginning,
Yeah.
but the client didn't know that he could do this, that, or the other. So that's how I started developing some 20 years ago. Especially for this kind of clients that they are very independent and they only come to the lawyer when they really are in a, sorry, I can say shit.
I think we'll allow it on Costa del Sol Chatter.
It's like a doctor. If you have a disease and you don't go to the doctor immediately, and you leave it. The day you go to the doctor does this, man, you could have been saved if you had come 1 year ago. Oh, really? This started 2 years ago.
Yeah, but Arthur, unfortunately, people prevaricate is the word, and I'm one of those.
Yes, this is how I developed the idea of the roadmap. The idea is to forget that the lawyer meeting is going to be free. No, the lawyer starts working since the very beginning. He studies the case, he sees how it's going to evolve. If it happens this, you must do this. If it happens that, you must do that. And then I elaborate a sort of roadmap. I started just giving a copy of my own notes to the client. But then I realized that they don't understand very well what I put. So now I put it properly in writing. And this is the Bible. Because in my analysis, I have put what are the precedents of the case, what could happen, and what could be done depending on the scenarios. And with that roadmap and some advice in very specific moments, Mr. Lopez, I need an appointment because it happened as you said, this and that, and now I don't know how to continue. I can help him to continue, sometimes. What is clear, they cannot go to court alone. I don't recommend that at all.
Oh, absolutely not. But
this-
I mean,
this
we
works-
we started with conveyancing. Now you're talking about.
No, I'm
more-
talking about things that happens in the house. For instance, a discussion with the electrician because he didn't put properly the special system you wanted in your home, or for instance with the brickman because he did a small dog house too small for the dog. I mean, there are many things that happens in a house that can be sorted by the owner.
Right.
But if he doesn't react well, it can evolve in a bigger problem. So if you have someone who can tell you, listen, what do you want to do? Well, I have a builder and he's going to build me a swimming pool. First warning, who is going to apply for the town hall license? Town hall license. So there is a license. Yes, of course. you should ask.
Well, viewers, if you're looking at this and you've got your dream house built in your mind and with your swimming pool in mind, don't fear. I mean, you can get good advice and go to the right people for advice. I think we're taking away a little from the joy of actually having done it myself, of actually moving here, the beautiful weather, the great people, and how wonderful and what a beautiful place Andalusia is. And I'd like to thank Arturo for joining us today. He can be reached on his website, which is www.lopezlegal.es. That's LOPEZLEGAL. And feel free to contact him on his website via email if you have any further questions. But for now, I'll say goodbye, and I hope we haven't put you off your Costa del Sol dream.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.